Uh, Good morning, everyone. If you're here in Colorado, welcome to our official online June Southern Colorado HSMAI meeting. We are excited to have you all here virtually together. Just in terms of brief announcements, I just want to make sure that all of you listening today and here are aware that we're not the only ones doing virtual online meetings, as you know, probably. But HSMAI chapters all over the country are doing meetings like this. And if you aren't following them online on Facebook, you should take a look, because there are similar meetings happening, I'd say just about every week, that we're no longer limited to Colorado Springs or Colorado to join in on. And our national HSMAI organization as well has been hosting some really fantastic meetings. So if you're not seeing that, not sure how to find out about that stuff, please reach out to me or any of the board members. We'd love to put you in touch with other folks who are doing online educational events and mixers. And I've even heard rumblings of in-person meetings happening soon at some of the HSMAI chapters. So I know a lot of us are anxious to hear about how that goes and what some of the best practices folks are adopting, of course, for HSMAI luncheons, but as we're all looking to get folks back into our meeting room spaces and group bookings going. So these are exciting times right now, I think is a way of saying it. But without further ado, I'm gonna give the floor to Lori Meacham to introduce our speaker today.
Hi, everyone. I'm delighted to present our speaker today, Holly Zoba, who is the owner of Scout Simply, a company that delivers sales and marketing training for the hotel industry. Holly is the most recent past chair of HSMAI Marketing Advisory Board and was one of the original authors of the CHDM, the marketing certification for HSMAI. Let's welcome Holly Zoba.
Thank you so much, Lori.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So I don't know about everybody else, but I am getting a little bit webinared out when I was putting this together. I thought, these are troopers for showing up for this webinar. Zoom is everywhere. And so I decided at first, I'm just going to make this a lot of fun. And then I started to develop the content, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is really good content. I'm going to have to roll back on the fun and so I can get all this content in. I, in the end, decided hopefully to do a little bit of both. So I'm really kind of hoping this is a little bit more fun than a normal webinar. I've tried to map it out that way. You can tell me at the end how you feel. But I also packed a ridiculous amount of information into this webinar. So fasten your seatbelts, let's get going. This is one of my all-time favorite topics, buyer enablement. But as I was saying earlier, sorry, I am easily distracted. Okay, I'm also checking the chat box here. I get a lot of grief because nobody really knows what buyer enablement means. So my training partner in my marketing class, Dan Waxman, has promised he's going to come up with a better name, but I came up with one that I'm going to test out on you guys. Here it is, making it easy for them to give you their money. Bottom line, make it easy for them to give you their money. In a nutshell, that's really what buyer enablement means. And it seems like kind of a no-brainer. Most of us on this webinar probably are in sales or marketing, so our job is to get their money. So why do we insist upon making it so hard? Doesn't it seem like if it was easier to get their money, we might get more of it? If you're still not 100% sure what I'm talking about, I have a little clip from a movie that I'm going to share with you that I think embodies what I'm trying to talk about. The guy, the buyer in this clip, is just trying to buy a necklace for his mistress before his wife shows up at the counter. So take a look at this little clip, and by the way, bonus points for anybody who knows the name of this movie based just on that description. Type it into the chat box before I even play it.
for anything in particular, sir?
Yes, that necklace there, how much is it?
It's £270.
All right, I'll have it.
Lovely. Gift wrap.
Yes, all right.
Lovely. Let me just open the box.
Look, could we be quite quick?
Certainly, sir. Ready in the flashiest of flashes.
It's great.
Not quite finished.
Could we be quite quick, please?
Prontissimo.
What's that?
It's a cinnamon stick, sir.
Actually, I can't wait.
Oh, you won't regret it, sir.
What about?
Tis but the work of a moment. Yeah, almost finished.
Almost finished. What else can that be? You're going to dip it in yogurt? Cover it with chocolate buttons?
No, sir. We're going to pop it in the Christmas box.
But I don't want a Christmas box.
But you said you wanted it gift wrapped.
I did.
This is the final flourish.
Can I just pay?
All we need now
Oh, God.
is a sprig of holly.
No bloody holly.
But sir,
Leave it, just leave it.
Oh, loitering around the jewellery section, I see.
No, I was just looking around.
Sorry, my expectations are not that high after 13 years of Mr. Oh, but you always love stuff. I do though.
All right, so Cheryl McCulloch was the first to guess the correct movie, Love Actually. But I think it's a great example of what I'm talking about. Mr. Bean, I don't really know his real name, had the best of intentions. He just wanted to do a fabulous job, like most of us do for our customers. But as you see, he made it impossible, actually, for him to get the money, right? And so that's what we're going to talk about today. I want to take about 30 seconds to tell you a little bit about why I feel so strongly about this topic. I am Holly Zoba. I own this training company called Scout Simply. Notice the simply in my name of my company, and my tagline is the search for revenue made clear. I thought about calling my company Make It Easy for Them to Give You Their Money, but I went with this instead. And these 4 pictures are the history of my life, which I'm not going to bore you with because we have way too much to do today. So in a nutshell, first I worked in hotels, and that top left picture is a room rack, which totally dates me. That's how long ago I started in hotels. I really like them, but then I found out about technology, and so I left hotels to do some web technology stuff. And then I went back to hotels, but I sold 2 hotels. I sold training to hotels. And then finally, it was driving me a little bit crazy. So a couple years ago, I went back and became a full stack web developer. And I'll tell you why. One of the reasons I needed to know how computers work, because I was convinced that computers were the reason that we were making it so hard in the hotel business for customers to give us money. And I turned out to be a little bit right. So some of you are saying, I don't actually make it difficult for my customers to give me money. I am not the problem. It's those customers that create the problems. They've changed. They're hard to make happy. They're calling me at the last minute now. They never want to talk to me anymore. It's just email, or they want me just to fill out this RFP. They overcomplicate everything. And you're not 100% wrong. They have changed. I've been researching them, and they are, in fact, very different. They were different before coronavirus, and now they're even a little bit more challenging. So I am curious, and I would like you to participate in this, if you will. How exactly have our buyers changed? And I'm going to use what I think is a cool little tool called Menti. And if you've never used it before, you're going to love it. If you have used it before, you know exactly what a fantastic little survey tool it is. It's easiest if you take out your phone and you're going to go to your phone's browser, whatever that might be, and type in menti.com, MENTI.com. It's at the top there. And it's going to ask you for a code. And the code is 756379. And hopefully it's going to come up with the question, how have buyers changed? You can also minimize this screen and do it in another computer screen if you don't want to do it on your phone. If you don't have your phone, you can type it in the chat box. I just really like it in this format so everybody can see it. So just think about your observations, and it could be how they've changed in the last couple of years or even in the last couple of weeks since COVID. Utilizing mobile platforms has increased, all email, more educated views for sure. Sorry, more educated, they're looking at reviews. Quick expectations, they are ridiculously impatient. I cannot argue with you there. Anybody else still typing? Immediate access to information. They have a lot of immediate access, and so if they don't have something, they want it right now. That is absolutely true. In the past, it was simpler. The rise of procurement, those evil beers. Demand for value, longer contracting times. Buyer pool is smaller. Travel bans, buyers who are looking are more price sensitive. These are all very, very accurate, and they all present some unique challenges for us. So we are going to talk about this, and just a little background. There are really two worlds of buyers, B2B and B2C. B2B is business to business. That's most of who we're working with on this webinar typically. So that's what I'm going to deal with. Salespeople selling to groups or BT. Certainly, we have a lot of B2C customers, and they have had some similar changes. They've experienced the same thing, but I'm going to focus mostly in this webinar on the changes of our B2B buyers. And change number one is, and this is going to be a little bit weird for some of you to realize, there are more buyers involved with every purchase decision. According to LinkedIn, there are 6.8 average buyer group involved with every decision, but I've done a lot of research in this area, and I have discovered that even for a really small purchase, and by small, I'm looking at a medium-sized company, $25,000 purchase, which is not huge, there are about 17 people involved. There are just more people involved than there ever have been before. And here's our problem. As salespeople or marketers, you're probably not talking to all of the people involved in the buying decision. You're only talking to one or two people. So somehow in our buyer enablement process, we're going to have to figure out how to reach the rest of those people. And the easiest way, quite frankly, is to be able to get the person we're talking to become a salesperson for us. So we're going to get into that a little bit. Big change number two. This is fascinating. One of my favorite companies in the world is Gartner. They do a lot of research, and I pilfer a lot of their research and share it with others. This is how buying committees are spending their time. So a lot of you said this in your changes. They're doing a lot of research online. They're looking at reviews. They're meeting with their buyer group, and we're going to talk some more about what they're doing when that happens. They're researching stuff offline, people that they know, asking advice, and then we're going to talk about what that 16% of other is. So in the end, we only get about 17% of their time. And in the olden days, we used to get closer to 60% of their time, like talking to vendors was huge. We were the first phone call they made. Now, a lot of times they won't even reach out to us until 80% of the entire decision process is made. So what exactly are they doing with all of their time? Again, my friends at Gartner did a bunch of research, and this is what they figured out that they're doing. Sorry, that in-person training wasn't supposed to pop up yet. These are the various steps that the buyer's going through. And just so you know, they don't really always go through all these buying steps in order. Sometimes they go, sometimes they repeat several ones. And let me make this make a little bit more sense to you. Look at it in our world, and I'm going to actually be a little bit selfish. Look at it in my world. I sell training. I sell training to a hotel. So let's trace my buyer's path to purchase, all right? I thought this would make more sense to you because I'm talking about you, all right? So let's say our problem that we identify, let's see if this works out, is one day the GM says, you know what, our customer service scores are awful. And so if our customer service scores are awful, I'm going to assume it's because our guest service manager is doing a bad job. So the guest service manager says, it is not my fault. I am not doing a bad job. I am short-staffed. I don't have enough people, and so of course our service scores are going down. I blame human resources. Human resources says, you know what? It is not my fault. You keep turning people over because you don't train them. You don't give them any training. So this is all happening in the problem identification area, okay? So the GM says, all right, we need more training. Let's get some training. So keep this in mind. Right now we have the GM, HR, and guest service manager involved in this potential purchasing decision. So what kind of training are we going to do? Do we need customer service training? Do we need technical training? Do we need leadership training? Like, what exactly are we going to do? So then a couple other department heads are going to get together because food and beverage doesn't have great customer service scores either. And everybody always wants to give some input on what sort of training that we're going to have to go through. So the general manager puts the guest service manager in charge of the whole buying process and says, you go out and find somebody. But the HR director, they also know somebody. And so they're going to go and talk to somebody about training. You know, the director of sales knows somebody, so she's talking to the person that she knows. So this is their more research phase, right? They're going out, they're talking. So they come back and they're ready to select their supplier. The guest service manager who's in charge of it says, I found a fantastic bid. Here's what we're going to do. The HR manager said, that is a crazy amount of money. I found another bid, but it's online training and it's much cheaper. And everybody else says, oh, but we hate online training. And so we really need to focus on in-person training. So then there's that whole, rigmarole, in-person versus online. So all of this stuff is going on. And then the HR and guest service manager come to everybody and say, you know what, we made a mistake. We've been observing at the front desk. It has nothing to do with training. Our computer system keeps breaking down. And so our real problem is technology. So they need to get a new PMS system. So what started out, as you can see, as conversations around training ends up with a completely different purchase decision altogether, and they're going to end up getting a PMS system. So hopefully that gives you an idea. It's not just hotels that operate like that. It's many companies that operate like that. Average buying groups, and they're not official buying committees. Sometimes they are, but mostly it's just a bunch of people who have their fingers in the pot. It's about 6 to 10 members. Each member goes out and collects about 4.5 pieces of information on average. That's a lot of information. That's between 27 and 45 items that they bring together for everybody to consider. That is overwhelming. So buying groups end up spending 15% of their time sorting through conflicting information, okay? And so when I am talking about simplifying the buying process, this is why it's such a huge need. Whenever you get more people involved, it's always going to become more convoluted. And I have a great example to share with you. Has anybody ever read the book, The Mythical Man Month? Show of hands, I can sort of see everybody here. I'm shocked that you never read this book. It was written by a software engineer in 1976, and it should be, reading for everybody, I think. But I've put a little video together to explain it, but here's the math problem it asks you to solve. If you have a job, and you know it takes one person 10 days to get the job done, you've got to do it in 2 days. So you can go ahead and put this in the chat box if you know the answer. Should you hire 5 people to do that job in 2 days if that's what you need to get done? So yes or no in the chat box. You have a job, it takes one person 10 days, you know that. If you need to get it done in 2 days, yes or no, should we hire 5 people to do the job? Will that get it done in 2 days? No, no, no. So you guys have read the book. Any guesses how many people that we would have to hire to get it done in 2 days? No guesses. Chickens. I will explain. And there's even fancy music, I hope. Sadly, no music. There has always got to be a technology fail after I built this thing up so much. I can't believe it. Come on, I just tested it. All right, so the reality is it's all about interfaces. If you have one person, they're the only ones they have to talk to. If there are 2 people, there's 2 interfaces, meaning 2 connection points, right? If you have 3 people, there are not 3 interfaces, there are actually 6 interfaces. If you have 10 people, there's actually 50 interfaces. 50 different ways that those people can communicate. So the reality is, to get a job done in 2 days, you need about 50 people. It's crazy. I will figure out a way for you to watch this video because it really clearly shows you how communication makes everything more complicated. And also technology not working doesn't help either. So this is the description of that buying process that I just told you about, the example that I gave you of hotels. This is it sort of in black and white, what our customers are doing. So bottom line, our customers are just really stressed. Everybody has an opinion, everybody's collecting information, they're overwhelmed. So that is why buyer enablement is so spectacularly helpful. What it really is, in addition to making it easy to take their money, is we're providing information that helps support each buying step. So if we're only talking to that one person, each step, problem identification, all of those little things, we're figuring out a way to insert ourselves and make it easy to support them, okay? Because we want them to choose us, so we're gonna make it easy. Now, the next question, I was gonna have you do it on Menti, but I really think the chat box will work perfectly for this. What companies that you know of that you deal with are fantastic today at buyer enablement? And think about the new definition that I just gave you. They help you at every step. So they help you figure out what the problem is. They help you figure out what the solution might be. They help you find somebody to buy from. They help you with the pricing. They help you feel comfortable that this is a good thing to buy. Expedia, sadly, you are totally correct. That's a very good example. Who else? I shouldn't have said sadly. That's why customers are inclined to use OTAs. They're fantastic at buyer enablement. Amazon, absolutely. Is there anybody better than Amazon? I heard some crazy stat the other day that right now 50% of all retail sales are coming through Amazon. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it might be true. All right. I somehow knew someone was going to say Amazon, and I just thought I would share with you a quick true story from my life. I have I have 2 dogs. One's young, one's old. And so the old one can't keep up on walks. So I decided I needed a wheelchair for my dog. And of course, Amazon corrected me and said, you do not need a wheelchair. You need a dog stroller. And so talk about extreme buyer enablement. They had me covered on every front. They told me what my solution was. So let's take a look at this thing here. They told me exactly what I needed to buy, not a wheelchair, a stroller. They gave me several options of different kinds of strollers. They gave me the exact specs that I needed so I could make sure that my dog, I have a bigger dog, that it would fit. They gave me pricing options, and we all know how ridiculously simple they make it to take your money. One-click buying. And so voila, I had a stroller for my dog. So perfect example. But now, who is the worst at buyer enablement? Any guesses? You don't have to guess. Any industry that's been disrupted. So think about this. One that comes to mind immediately is the taxi industry. In the olden days, if you wanted to take a taxi and you didn't live in New York City, like you had all these questions. Where should I call? What's the name of the company? Taxi? I don't know. Yellow cab? Maybe one's just going to pass by that's going to be empty. How long is it going to take me to get there? How much is it going to cost? Are they going to take a credit card without an argument? Let's just hope for the best. And then they became disrupted because Lyft and Uber made it insanely easy to actually buy travel, similar to how easy Expedia made it. You at the click of a button, you know how much it's going to cost you. You don't have to pay. You don't have to haggle. It's all done in the app. You have the map. You know when they're coming to get you. They have really made it really simple. They've taken buyer enablement to the extreme. The other company that's done a nice job is Airbnb with disrupting us, and I think that's not a big surprise. Same thing. Their app combined finding a place to stay with finding an experience really simply. And so I'm curious what you guys think, and again, let's do it in the chat box. On a scale of 1 to 10, how easy, and let's go back to our B2B customers, our group customers who are planning a meeting, planning a wedding, planning an event, your BT contracts who are putting 500 rooms. How easy do we make it? 1 being, I don't know, really easy, 10 being really hard. 3. Five. So middle of the road. I don't have a specific answer for you in this area, but I can tell you a ton of examples where we make it almost impossible for our customers to do business with us. And I'm gonna share them with you as I give you some tools that are gonna help you do a better job with it. So as I said, buyer enablement tools, they make it easy at every step for you to do a better job. So don't be overwhelmed by the names of these tools. I'm going to show you in real life how we can actually use them. Things like becoming a recommender, providing a calculator, a simulator, giving demos. One of the biggest is being a connector. connecting the dots to make your solution the obvious choice. Checklists, benchmarks. All right, so keep in mind, we're going to use these tools and you really want to apply them at each step. I teach an entire 2-day class on this. And so for today's session, I'm just going to give you some examples where I thought it would have the most impact on all of us, which is supplier selection. So you can use these tools to insert yourself into the first step, problem identification into the second step, third step, but we're going to focus today on supplier. So the first one I want to use is a recommender. Instead of giving 1,000 different options, you as the salesperson are the expert. You should be giving recommendations. I have to plan meetings at hotels several times a year. And honestly, you make it very difficult for me to plan a very simple meeting. I want to know, because when I'm planning a meeting, I need to know how much it's going to cost me, because I'm going to build the cost into my class, okay? And so I need to know exactly how much it's going to cost. So first of all, I can't find a phone number on a website to call you. They're not there. I can call the 800 for the reservations, but I can't find the phone number for a salesperson. Second of all, since I can't find the phone number, all right, I'll do it online. Most brand websites make me fill out an RFP. And then this thing pops up, if you've ever done it, that says, don't just ask one hotel, ask several hotels. So then I get all this stuff. However, it all looks the same. And this is what it looks like. I've gotten this same thing 127 times. This is how you're telling me how much it's going to cost for me to have a 25-person meeting at your hotel. And I just want to have a lunch. That's all I want to know. But the good news is, and I hate to pick on Boston Harbor, I get this from everybody. I get 27 attachments that I can look at that go along with it. So is that easy? Sometimes I click on the attachment. Mostly I'm overwhelmed and I think, I'll think about this later. I have no idea. Can anybody here tell me, based on this chart, how much I'm going to pay for my meeting? I was a director of catering, and I don't know what the tax and service, I don't know what that's going to be, and it doesn't really help me. I don't know. I have to talk to somebody before I can find out, right? So then I click on the meeting, and again, I click on the banquet menu so I can actually find out some costs of food, and this is what I get. It has 100, and this is actually, it's going to start to move in a minute, I hope. Again, my technology, perhaps not. Nope, it's not. It is. We all know what banquet menus are like. There's hundreds of thousands of items for every single meal. Again, it's overwhelming. In the B2C world, I will give you a hint. The yogurt business is working themselves out of business. Their sales are actually reducing because you have so many options now when you go to buy yogurt. 306 options on average when you go to the grocery store. And as a result, their sales are going down because it's too overwhelming. And we do the same thing. So when I say be a recommender, this is what I'm talking about. It's really simple. If someone asks you if they say they want to have a lunch, make 2 recommendations. Give them the link if you want to the thousands of lunch options, but you're the expert. You say, I know this is what people love the most. Here's a regular one, here's a buffet one. You make the recommendation. So that is really tool number 1. Don't think by giving them thousands of options that you're doing them a favor. You're not making it easier. Make recommendations. You're positioning yourself also as a valuable help to them, which in the long run is what you always want to do. Number 2, simulator. You want to give a demonstration to show them how something works. What you're really trying to do here is to help them envision their meeting at your property. So I have a great example, and I'm going to be really mad if this video doesn't work, but I bet it does.
Is it better to be feared or respected? And I say, is it too much to ask for both? With that in mind, I humbly present the crown jewel of Stark Industries' Freedom Line. It's the first missile system to incorporate our proprietary repulsor technology. They say the best weapon is one you never have to fire. I respectfully disagree. I prefer the weapon you only have to fire once. That's how Dad did it. That's how America does it. And it's worked out pretty well so far. Find an excuse to let one of these off the chain, and I personally guarantee you the bad guys won't even want to come out of their caves. For your consideration, the Jericho. I'll be throwing one of these in with every purchase of 500 million or more. It's a piece.
So I would totally recommend that approach. Do something really big and really flashy. The good news is we can do site inspections, right? That's how we can help people envision. The bad news is during COVID-19, we don't even have that option anymore. So we have gotten really creative, and I've seen a lot of really creative options to do actual virtual site inspections. I've seen a lot of people do FaceTime. So they take their phone and they walk the client around the hotel. I love that idea. Really simple, and it's live. So they know that you're not trying to fake them out. I have a second recommendation. It's called Prezi. And I'm not sure if you guys know Prezi or not. Prezi is a presentation platform. It's very similar to PowerPoint. But what I like about Prezi is you're able to tailor it on the fly. So I built this for a client in about 20 minutes. It's not really built out all that well, but just for demonstration purposes. So if you're talking to a client and they say, yeah, I'm not going to have any guest rooms. I don't care about your guest rooms. I only want to know about your meeting space. You can hone in, click on meetings, and it zooms in, and you can have videos inserted. And all I did for this property was take their virtual 360 tour and slice it. And so I'm talking to the person as they're looking around my meeting space. When you're finished with that, you can just back up. And if you want, you can show them, okay, this is now the same space, but how we're doing it with social distancing. And you can back up again. And you can show them, oh, sorry, that wasn't that room. This is that room, that same room with social distancing. So you back up again, and they say, well, maybe we would like to see what people are what impression they're gonna make in their lobby. And so you click on this, and I did exactly the same thing. I just spliced their video, their tour that they already had, and put it in a small segment into this Prezi. And so they're getting a fantastic view, and you're not walking around trying to talk and chew gum and give a tour at the same time. The other reason I'm a huge fan of doing virtual presentations via Prezi is, remember, you're only talking to one person, and they've got to go back and tell everybody else. So if you do the FaceTime, you're sort of stuck. It's whoever showed up for the call. That's the only one that is going to get the benefit of it. With Prezi, you actually can save the whole presentation and send them a link. And when you send them a link, they can do exactly what I'm doing. They get the whole thing. they can either just click through. Here's the normal way that you're going to go through it. You're just going to click through at the bottom, or they can do exactly what I did, which was just pick and choose what they wanted to see. So that is, again, what I'm talking about with buyer enablement, making it really simple to have your client envision this fantastic visit meeting at your hotel, especially with social distancing in place. Okay. Here is a personal pet peeve of mine that drives me crazy with salespeople. In order to set up this virtual site inspection, how many emails do you have to send back and forth to set up a time that works for the both of you? Does this look familiar to you? I'm doing it via text, but it could also be done via email. Hey, do you want to set up some time? Sure. Would Wednesday work? Wednesday's not good. How about Thursday? What time on Thursday? I have 2 or 3. Will those work? Eastern time? Oh, sorry, I thought you were on Central. No, so like, yeah, this works. And then something inevitably happens and you have to start the whole process over again. Does this happen only to me, or does this also happen to you? Introducing my all-time favorite tool, Calendly. When I do a lot of demos myself for my training classes, it's going to fight with me. So I send my client a link that says, click on this link and let's pick out a time. When they click on the link, it takes them to this screen. And this is completely integrated with my calendar. So as long as I remember to put stuff on my calendar, it only shows dates and times that I'm available, but it gets even easier. They pick a time, they get confirmed, and it's in their time zone. So whatever their time zone is, that's what shows up. And then an email gets sent to both of us with a calendar invitation, including the Zoom link for the Zoom meeting. So you, as a salesperson, set this all up in Calendly. All you do is give your client the link. They click on it, they pick it, and it's done. It's automatically put in there. Again, that is part of buyer enablement. This is just a little bit earlier, but making it easier for them every step of the process. Connector. To me, this is probably our biggest responsibility as sales or marketing people. Connecting the dots, making sure during this selection process that you are building a great business case for why you are the best selection. The examples that I'm going to use here are around this new concept that I'm hearing a lot called the hybrid meeting. I'm curious, and I'm looking at many of your faces. Do you know what I mean by hybrid meeting? Nod yes. Okay. Part of the people show up in person for your planned meeting, and the other part are going to attend virtually. So the concept is brilliant. My experience has been explaining it to people is a little bit overwhelming. And this is one of the reasons why. This is what one audio-visual company sends out to your customers to explain, this is what you're going to need to do a virtual meeting. They look at this and they're like, I don't know what a mixer is. It's hard to read, it's hard to understand, and it seems like a lot of money. The concept is great, it seems overwhelming. So number one, make it visual. I went back to Prezi and did this visual. I took a picture, I'm pretending, of my meeting space, of a meeting going on. And then I put the little blobs around the actual stuff that's in that audio-visual flyer. But I have pictures of it so that they can start to picture, okay, this is how we can do it. Pictures, images, Prezi make it easier for the person to visualize this actually working. The only thing better than pictures and Prezi are actual videos that explain it. And so I made this again for a client in about 3 minutes, and I want to share with you explaining hybrid meetings. So a pretty clear description, right, of what a hybrid meeting is and what the benefit to it is. Some of you might be thinking, I'm not making videos, like I'm busy, I don't have time to do that. That video is an app called Lumen 5, Lumen with the number 5.com. Let me tell you how it works. It's astounding. All you do is type in the text. So you come up with kind of the script that you want. Lumen uses artificial intelligence to take your words and marry it together with music and videos, scenes. And then all you have to do is edit it. I can make a Lumen 5 video that's fantastic in about 5 minutes. And so I recommend whatever it is that you have to explain to somebody, give Lumen 5 a shot. And now I see many of you going to the Lumen 5 website. Maybe that's a mistake, giving so much detail. You have got to investigate it. It's incredible. But there's one other element that I want to share with you, and that is a calculator. And this is, I'm still on the theme of this hybrid meeting. And now some of you are going to think I've really gone over the edge. This is what I'm talking about, though, when I'm talking about buyer enablement, thinking of ways to make it easier for your customers. One of the concerns that I think customers have about booking meetings is just what that video explained. What if I put this meeting together and nobody can come, or only 30% of the people can come? What if you created for them a hybrid meeting calendar that they could plug in expenses and participation and see in an instant how many people they would have to get on site and how many people they would have to get off site? So this one, I didn't rely on technology. I actually am pulling up my Excel spreadsheet. I did this little calculator in Excel, and I want to show you how simple it is. What they can do is you can tell them, this is how much our audiovisual package costs. This is how much it's going to cost for the meeting space. They are going to have a cost to develop the program. That's up to them. You can do them a favor and add up all of the meals and how much that's going to cost. Any other miscellaneous expenses, and this calculates per person, $350 a person. This is, they can change any of these numbers, and it's going to tell them their profit or loss at the end. So let's say they say, well, instead of 75 people on site, what if I only have 40? You're only going to make $21,000. What if I only get 100? You're only going to make $15,000. What if you raise your prices and it costs me $300 for meals? Then you're only going to make $13,000. It's a ridiculously simple calculator that I built in about 3 minutes in Excel that you can send as an attachment for your meeting planner to play around with. You fill in the stuff that you need to fill in, they fill in their stuff. And you should make it look prettier. And just so you know, I actually do practice what I preach. This is my own website, and I have an ROI calculator on my own website so that my potential students can say, gosh, if I have 7 people and it costs $300, my average rate is $300, how many room nights do I have to sell to make this break even? It's a fantastic buyer enablement tool. The final tool that I'm going to talk about with you is I refer to as checklists. They are fantastic, really easy to make. I went online in about 10 seconds, found this really comprehensive, boring meeting planner assistance checklist. So you can do that, and you should do that. Steps 1 through 10 to plan your hybrid meeting. I highly would recommend that. You can also go to Social Tables. They have some fantastic apps. But I have been harping for a long time to my friends at Marriott and Hilton saying, I want a program that allows customers to treat our banquet menus like Grubhub or any of the other apps that make it really easy to take your money. And I foolishly thought such a thing did not exist. Lo and behold, it does. Take a look at this. This is a send-in product. There are a couple of them out there, but this was the demo that I got. It's called You Order, and I'm going to play it for you. It's a little bit of an instruction thing, but I just
If your client is ready to choose their catering options for their event, they will need to create a You Order account directly from the home page of your eMenus link. If they already created a You Order account, they will just need to log in. Once logged in, your client will be able to create a new order directly from their My Orders page. To create a new order, your client will need to enter the event name and the event dates. Once the order is created, your client will be directed to a new Event Details page where they will begin to add in the different functions that will take place over the course of their event dates. From the Event Details page, your client will select Add Menu to browse your offerings and add their menu choices to each function. As your client selects their menu choices, the items that have choices and add-ons will be separated into sections for them to review and select. Once your client is finished adding their menu choices to their functions, the Event Details page will display the details of what is added for each function along with the associated cost. On each function,
All right, I'm going to stop it there. It goes on and on. It is a cool product, and it gives you a ridiculous amount of control. And you might be thinking to yourself, isn't this kind of contrary to everything that I've been telling you? Doesn't this make more work for our clients? But the reality is, our clients, some of our clients, not all of them, some of them want to do this on their own. They want to play around with stuff. They want to figure out how much stuff is going to cost them, how they can maximize. Right now, we don't even always allow them to download our banquet menus from our website. I talk to a lot of hotels who are like, oh no, they've got to call me because I've got to talk to them before I can send them out a banquet menu. We're just putting obstacles in our clients' ways of making it easy for buying. Let them have the option. They may choose not to take advantage of this. Chances are good they will. And this has a lot of built-in controls. Think about the time it's going to save your catering sales manager if they work out everything. What happens when I stop the video is they then send it to you. You can put a halt on it so they can't make any more changes. You can go over it, and then you can make any changes with them if you want. Then you hit the button, and it becomes a BEO. It's a little bit like magic. As I said, there's a couple of companies out there that are working on this. Worth investigating. Whatever company you're using right now for CRM, you might have to ask them if they have this. All right, so that is as much time as we have. I have 4 minutes left. This is just a summary of the tools that I was talking about. Again, as a reminder, our buyers have changed. It's really important that we change. This is one of my all-time favorite quotes. It's not the strongest of the species that survives, nor even the most intelligent. It's the one who's most adaptable to change. Our customers are changing. We have to figure out how to change. As I also said, I teach this whole thing in a class, and I've partnered with HSMAI. They are offering it. So you can go to bit.ly/HSMAI sales to learn all about it. And that's all I have for you today. I cannot believe that I finished with 3 minutes left over. I hope that you found some value. I hope you found it a little bit entertaining. Come on, I had Mr. Bean and Robert Downey Jr. How often do you get that combination? And math, an Excel spreadsheet. Who could ask for anything more? Let me know if you have any questions. So much to think about. I know it's a lot. Sorry, I told you I was going to dump a lot into it.
Holly, thank you so, so much. I just, I had the chance to see some of this content at Leadership in Austin, and it's even better the second time, and it just feels so incredibly relevant and important for anyone in sales in any industry to see and think about and put some effort into improving our processes, especially in this day and age. I wanted to let you know we are going to be giving a donation in your name to our local charity CASA, court-appointed special advocates of the Pikes Peak region. So thank you again.
What a fantastic idea.
Thanks, as usual, to our local chapter sponsors, Eric Sprinkle, the founder of Adventure Experience, who is our official photographer for the chapter and available to book. Thanks to Jennifer Bliss from Say No More Promotions, who's provided our chapter with so many great promotional products. Folks, July 15th is the scheduled event next on our roster with John Register, whose title is Change Agent and Facilitator of the Brilliance in the Room. That should pique your interest. He was originally going to be speaking in person on March 18th, and that didn't become a thing. But so please tune in on July 15th. We'll be getting you more information on that. One last note for the day. Happy birthday to Ray Martinez. I don't know if he's on the call, but give a shout out to Ray if you haven't already. You had a birthday this week. Again, thanks, Holly, and thanks to everyone who made it today. Look forward to seeing you all in person, I hope soon.
Thank you.
Have a great day, everyone.
Bye-bye.